Militarily Speaking, episode 50. Kind of a milestone.
Be a drum roll.
We have to do that leading up to this. Okay. Operation First Response.
This episode, we talk with Peggy Baker, president and founder of Operation First Response.
Welcome to Militarily Speaking, brought to you by Armed Forces Bank. This is Tom McLean and Jodi Vickery. I'm the regional military executive for Armed Forces Bank, and Jodi is the executive vice president, director of military consumer lending.
Welcome to our show. We're excited to have you listening and learning about our guest Peggy with Operation First Response. And Peggy, I'm going to take just a second and let our audience know a little bit about your background. And then we are going to dive in and have you help us share with them about Operation First Response. Peggy was a homeschool mom living on a farm in Central Virginia at the time of 9/11. Her son joined the United States Army and changed her life forever with that decision. She wanted to be able to help here on the homeland to support what America's sons and daughters were doing overseas. Peggy went into Walter Reed Army Medical Center to visit a friend and her son as he returned home as an amputee. That day, she realized there was so much we as civilians could do to support our wounded, injured, and critically ill active duty service members and their families. It seemed so clear that we were the recipients of their sacrifices and had a responsibility to do all we could to lighten their burdens. That day, Operation First Response was born and was to change the rest of her life. It has now been 20 years of walking with our heroes and their families through some of the most difficult times in their lives. This has been a journey of tragedies, miracles, love, lifelong friendships, and so much more. Since then, the organization has added many other programs and decided that our first responders deserve the same place of honor as our military. They are now an important community that we are honored to serve. You know, I got goosebumps at least 3 times reading that. So good job, Peggy.
I think because you read it flawlessly.
Well, she did.
Made even better.
I tried really hard because it's important to do it justice, right? But I did. I got goosebumps at least 3 times. So I just want to say welcome, Peggy. It's really an honor and our privilege to have you here on our show. I'd love, we like to always just start by giving our guests the floor to talk about your organization and maybe top line some of the great programs you have. I'm sure we'll get into the details of some of them more as we go. But, we've got the backpack program, Final Salute, Random Acts of Kindness. Tom and I have learned about these, a plethora of them, Tom's favorite word, on the website. But just give us an overview of the organization and some of those great programs you guys offer.
Sure. Well, I'd say that our most important program is our financial assistance for the military families and the first responder families. The issue for many of our military families and first responders is that it can take a long time before they're able to get their finances back in shape and everything. So if you're actually on a fixed income, then it really just takes a car repair or appliance breaking down to really mess up your financial security. I believe that that's probably one of the most important things, and it's difficult. I also think that their issue with financial devastation can often lead, it does have a lot to do with the suicide rate. And these are proud warriors, and difficult for them to ask for help. So usually when they ask for help, it's not smoke, it's a full-blown fire. And we have to be able to react very quickly, hence our name, Operation First Response. So I think that program has changed a lot of lives and has been able to give our veterans and our first responders hope that there are people that really care about what's happening to them, So that's probably one of our most important. And then this next most important would be the Last Mission Project. That's so important because any of our heroes that suffer from post-traumatic stress, a lot of them don't get the help that they need. Many of them need to be in treatment facilities, but they have to make a choice between either their family's going to, fall to the wayside financially because they're not working. And so usually that choice is they're not going to get the help that they need. And I just don't think that that's right. I think that we should make it as easy as possible for them to get help. So we do get involved when they're in an inpatient treatment program and try to, pay bills that they would not be able to pay and take that worry off their backs, so that they know their family's okay and they can concentrate on getting the coping mechanisms to, get through every day. Post-traumatic stress never really goes away, but there are ways to handle it and help and make things easier for the whole family. So those two, I'd guess, would be our main programs. But, it's been a long journey, 20 years, and we're very close to many, many, many of the families that we've served. So we know their issues and their struggles, and they talk to us. And so we try to get ideas that will help the issues that they're going through. So we put in place 2 IT programs in the specialized training program that allows them to take these 2 IT programs it's on Zoom. It costs them absolutely nothing. The instructors are all prior military. They're fantastic and give of their time. One class is 6 weeks, one's 4 weeks. And we pay for everything. We pay for the books, we pay for everything. And then at the end, they have the opportunity to take the exam that would give them that certification. And if they take the exam, they send me the receipt, and we reimburse them for that. We want it to be that this is, that's not going to take anything away from them except for time, that they're invest in trying to get these, have more on their resumes, just give them empowerment that there is things out there that they can do. And for many of our veterans who really feel like they kind of isolate themselves, if there's an IT job that they might be able to do at home, this is going to be really beneficial to them as well, So that's a great program, and one we're really proud to be able to offer to them.
Peggy, do you have specific names for those 2 IT specialized programs? Are they areas of interest within the IT world?
Yes, there's the CCNA class, which is the Cisco Certified Network Associate, and then the CompTIA Security Plus. So that's on cybersecurity. So all good things, and up and coming, opportunities for them, and a really good pay. So it really, in the long run, if this all works out for them, it's a great thing. If it doesn't, they did get some knowledge, and it didn't cost them anything. So that's really important to us. We just want to be able to give them anything that we can to go back into our communities and be productive members of our communities, and know that, honestly, they are the best of us. And I just want them to all know that, and it's probably the military mom in me, but they have changed my life. I see the struggles and the sacrifices, and I just want to shout it off the mountaintop that, my gosh, these young men and women have sacrificed their whole lives in ways that we can't even think about, Like, my son didn't hear his daughter's first words or her first steps, I mean, that's a really powerful thing for all of us that, many of us don't even take into consideration. And then on top of that, they sign up, they don't know where they're going to go or if they're even going to live through the experience, So that's pretty important for us to remember. And I also feel that, yes, the government should be taking care of our veterans and our first responders as best as they can. However, I also think that it's a responsibility of the rest of us who reap the benefits of their sacrifices to also be part of that, So that's really the reason that I wanted to be able to do this. And I had seen so many issues going on at Walter Reed that, just decided this is what we had to do. I had never expected it to last 20 years. I never expected to be able to serve. We have served over 33,000 families. There are 3 of us that do day-to-day operations, and we have such an amazing procedure that we can take care of the cases within 24 to 48 hours at the max. Most of the time it's 24, and sometimes it can be the same day they come to us. It really depends on how quickly they can get the application back to us and the supporting documents that we need back to us. That's really the most time. We're ready to react and pay that. We do pay the vendor directly because, it gives me peace of mind when I go to bed at night, knowing that, yes, there's a roof over their head. Yes, there's food in their refrigerator. Yes, the electricity is back on, so all of those things are really important to me, again, as a mom. And then Final Salute program is actually for Gold Star families. And it's a portrait that's painted by an artist. and we purchased them from her, and they're given to the Gold Star families, and they're really beautiful. And she's really an amazing lady. We had met briefly several years ago. I can't even remember how many years I've known her, but she's actually called the Goat Lady, and she lives in Utah on a farm, and she paints these portraits, and she's amazing. And all she wants to do is give back, same way I do. And I try to surround myself with people that want to give back. I think that's important. We're all like-minded. And then the random act of kindness cards are cards that the Gold Star families can reach out to me if they give me a picture and information about their fallen hero. We'll have it put on a card, and it'll say, do something, a random act of kindness in this hero's honor. And many of the families really, really love that. It means so much to them. So that's been a fun kind of a program, and we've been able to use them in places that we go to. So that's always a great time. And what other programs do we have?
Well, that's a lot to
Very long
unpack.
list.
I know.
Yeah.
But I think, Peggy, what's cool too, and everybody can go to www.operationfirstresponse.org and see all the great programs, all the great things that you're doing. And even when you look at social media for your organization, for OFR, to see that you acknowledge birthdays of the fallen, right? I think that's so cool that you just will, seems like every post you have out there is remembering those who served and sacrificed for us too. And one of the best quotes I heard too about, probably from someone in your organization, was, we don't know them all, but we owe them all.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I think that's the first time I'd heard that, but that's pretty powerful.
And it's true.
You mentioned statistics, and it's probably like 34,000 families now, just in the time that we've been talking to you for this few minutes. But
yeah, we take count at the end of every year, December 31st.
Running counter thing.
I know.
Yeah.
You've helped a tremendous number of military families with those everyday expenses, because that's really your driving force too, is to help them meet those financial needs. But how do you get connected with the families you're helping? Do you find them? Are they reaching out to you? I stumbled across this site called findhelp.org, right? And there's OFR is listed with all these different initiatives that they're doing around the country, and including Baldwin, Missouri. And it was cool to see that out there on that site too. So we as an organization, we're just Armed Forces Bank, right? We've been around for about 117 years or so, but a lot of people don't know who we are. So what do you do to help bring more awareness to the organization? And then if somebody is asking for help, how do they know how to find you? Or do you reach out to them because everybody just has it?
It's probably a combination of a lot of different things. Mainly, we're brought the cases to us. They're brought to us by VA caseworkers, social workers, mental health providers, and chains of command. For the most part, they're brought to us. To be honest, I don't have time, and the girls don't have time to go out looking for it. We're,
Right.
For anybody that needs help. But we do, the families pass our information along to others when they know that that somebody's in need of something. Actually, that just happened yesterday. And we're like on all of these different websites, that pull the organizations and try to say what they're doing and everything. So we're also in those kind of places as well. But for the most part, because we're nationwide and I can't have eyes on to every situation, it's beneficial to us that it comes from a caseworker or somebody that's actually sitting across, the table from this veteran and his family or this first responder. And the first responders just actually came about when, well, first of all, we had served a lot of them because, isn't it just like our military that they get out of the military and they go into first responder jobs,
Right.
and they're selfless. And so we had already been serving them because they had prior military. But then, it seemed like they weren't getting any recognition for the sacrifices that they make every day as well. So we really just felt like it was time. There seemed to be a lot of negative stuff on TV about our first responders, and we just wanted to lift them up. So now we've had the honor of being involved with all of them. And then they got us involved because now we're volunteering for our local fire station. And, because, we're all supposed to be doing this kind of stuff and helping each other. So that's been a really great experience. And when OFR, if it ever closes, my daughter is ready to become an EMT. So I think that, and I think that's something that's really important is that we need to teach our kids. One thing that my kids have benefited from is seeing, real struggles. We've seen things that I can't even say I've ever had a bad day anymore because some really bad things have happened to folks, and we need to teach our kids how important it is that we have these men and women that make these choices and decisions for us and go out and take their lives in their hands every single day. And their families, their families are so important. Our warriors could not do the jobs that they do if they didn't have the backup of their family and the support from their families. It's really important that the families are recognized for their sacrifice. So there's a lot of, especially in the military, there's a lot of spouses that are home trying to take care of the kids while they're warriors off to war. That can be quite a hard thing to do on your own. So we always say, if you know a family that's got a deployed soldier or service member, reach out to the family, cut the grass, offer to babysit the kids, go, whatever it takes, just to give them that feeling of somebody cares.
We should, once this thing is published, sharing that message alone about the kids would do a lot of good around the country. Pretty cool that you said that. Yeah.
No, totally agree. I mean, it's that perspective, I think, that sometimes gets lost. It's, teaching your kids. I mean, this was always important in our house. And thankfully, my kids still do this. When you see somebody in uniform, whether it's first responder or a soldier or a Marine or whoever, just go say thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, It takes 2 seconds, but, it's
pay it forward,
seeing them walk over and shake their hand and say thank you. It's like, okay, I've done something right as a parent, right?
Absolutely. That's right. That's really important.
And we're of the same fabric and DNA as a bank, too. We think about the 9/11 events that we do, supporting Nurses Appreciation Week that we do as a bank, and Day of Peace when we go to the firefighters and the police stations and just recognize them, acknowledge them with thank you cards or just some goodies, just to appreciate them throughout the year. Because this is 366 this year with the leap year. Yeah.
That's right.
Extra day of service. I want to give you a chance to also talk about how OFR is unique. There are so many organizations. What Tom and I have found as we've talked to guests over however long we've been doing this podcast, long time it seems like. Some days
it's coming up on 2 years. It's like it's like late April. That's
every year's a leap year with
that's
Tom.
That's another celebration this year. Thanks for that.
Yes, you're welcome. So there's always this very cool common thread that everybody's coming at it generally from the same perspective that you're relaying today, which is there's just this passion for wanting to do right by these folks that are wearing the uniform and their families. But everybody's coming at it from a different way, which is always interesting to hear about. And they're very willing to work together to see how they pool resources to help. What is it about the approach that your organization has that's unique in how you help the families that you serve?
Well, I think one thing that's really important is that our older veterans don't have a lot of support. There's not a lot of organizations that serve them. And actually, when we started, we were just serving OIF and OEF soldiers and veterans only because that's where I came into it and didn't know any better. And then a World War II veteran contacted us and his power was out. And all I could think of is, oh my gosh, like, okay, are we going to say no to this man because he didn't fight the right conflict, or something that just doesn't make any sense,
Yeah.
So we immediately looked at our bylaws and realized that we hadn't, specified that we were going to only do this one particular group. And so we serve all conflicts, all branches, and we don't care when you get out. Just a lot of places only will serve for, if you've been out for a few months, a year, but their issues don't stop at that time, so we don't want those restrictions. So that's probably something really important that sets us aside. And then again, our name, Operation First Response, we get a hold of them. I can't tell you how many times we hear, that, they've called and reached out to 50 organizations, and we're the only ones that responded back.
Wow.
Even if we can't help, maybe it's just so large that we can't help, or it's really outside of our scope. And so that's the reason why we can't do it. We respond back to them. They get a response from us. We'll listen. And sometimes us listening is the most important thing that we do. It really is, because I think in almost every thank you note we've ever received, that statement is in there, that you listened and you cared, and our hearts show through. And, the girls are amazing with our veterans. And I think it's just really important to listen, be there, answer the phone, call them back, respond to the emails.
What I would suspect too, as you've listened to those stories, if you do find it's a situation that you maybe don't find it's a way you can directly help, you probably know a million people that you could connect them with. Maybe it's a better suited for XYZ organization to help with, or
Right. A lot of the organizations do something just a little bit different from each other. So I kind of think of it as a big puzzle, and we all bring a piece of the puzzle to the table. And if we work together, obviously we can make a larger difference, So yes, that would be the first thing that we would try to do, is try to find some kind of help for that family, even if we can't do it.
So good.
It's really cool too. I'd be hard pressed to find an organization, Peggy, that gives 95 to 97 cents on every dollar back to the community you serve. I don't, a lot of nonprofits, there's a lot of them, and we love all the great work they do, but that is a pretty cool stat for you to share, that the dollars are going back.
I believe that, first of all, I don't have any problem with people, making money and becoming rich and living in mansions. I have no problem with that. But I don't think that that's the way a nonprofit should be ran. I think that they should be, a group of people saw an issue and they came together to provide an answer. And I just don't think we should have high wages. We have enough so that we can live. And if you look around, my office is in my basement. And so I have no overhead, because you know what? I don't need a fancy office to do. So I don't need all that overhead, so that helps us immensely for our numbers and the percentage that goes back, because we don't have those kind of costs,
You're in Culpeper, Virginia, right? Is that where you're?
Correct.
There's basements in Virginia. Other basements in?
There is basements in Virginia. Actually, I have no windows. So when I go outside, I'm like,
right. It's sunny or raining.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So emergencies don't happen 9 to 5, Monday through Friday either. So
always on call.
If we're going to be always, and it's a heck of a lot easier for me to run down the 13 steps, and I never have traffic. That's a great thing. And reach out to them and do whatever we can, or whatever it is that they need,
So when you say I'm going home for the day, that's kind of weird, right?
That's up 13 steps.
So I'm going to read a question to you that was eloquently written by Jodi Vickery, because I can't meet her verbosity. So, and it's about the story. She's always good about asking this question too, about the stories, being that she's a military spouse. She's got stories galore about her time in the Army. But stories often reveal the heart of the organization better than anything else we could even share on a podcast for a limited amount of time. So I'm sure you have a deep memory bank full of stories that families you have encountered along this journey. And I'm sure that those stories probably draw at your heartstrings every time you think about them or talk about them. But is there maybe a story or two that you want to share that really takes you back to 2004 when this all began, that said, this is why I'm doing this?
Well, my gosh, so many stories. But in the beginning, I believe that God put me in this place, and he just opened doors. No reason why a homeschool mom would be put in this place. It's not an accident. And I've always seen his hand in everything that we do. Initially, when I was going into Walter Reed, had gotten a call from a mom in the middle of the night. Her son had been injured, and he was in Germany at Landstuhl, and she just wanted to be able to say something to him, to tell him that she loved him, over the phone. And So honestly, I had no idea how I was going to make that happen. But like within a day or so, I got a phone call or email from a nurse at Launch Stool who said, I heard about you and I want to help you, and I also want to be able to send, because for them it was difficult. They were sending home the wounded and not knowing what happened, and how things turned out for them. So she wanted to help us. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a blessing beyond words, because I got a mom that wants to talk to her son. And so this nurse actually knew the young man, and he had been in a coma since he had arrived at Launch Stool. But this woman brought her phone to him and put it up to his ear. And his mom was telling him that how much she loved him and how strong he was and that he could get through this. And it was the first time, sorry, because it makes me want to cry. It was the first time that he like blinked his eyes, and made any notion of that he was really in there with us, or understood what was going on, So that was, how do you explain that happening? And we had another time that was actually pretty amazing. It was in the beginning, and we were struggling. We are always struggling for funds. And so we were struggling for funding, and this family called me, and they're relatives of a young man that had been killed in action. And so the military pays for a certain amount of people to go to the memorial, but there were several, like 3 or 4 more that really wanted to be there, but they just didn't have the funds. The gentleman explained to me that, it'd take $2,500 for him for the rest of the family to get there. And $2,500 at that time was a lot of money to us. And so I got off the phone. I just did not know what I was going to do, but I had just promised this man that I was going to make sure to get him there. Well, okay, so my UPS man, he usually comes between 5 and 6, okay? But this was in the morning, and there was a knock at the door, and it was him, and I signed for an envelope, and I opened it up, and it was from a company that had going to donate to us, but I didn't know how much, so it was all a surprise. So it was $2,500 check.
Man.
I'm like, oh my gosh. So I had to call the company and tell them, like, you have no idea, but you were part of this miracle, and I have to tell you about it. And then the woman said to me, Peggy, look at the check and see what the date was. And the date was several months prior to the day that we were on. And that check had gone from desk to desk to desk that was supposed to send it to Operation First Response, but for whatever reason, never happened. And then she, 2 days prior to that, found it and said, oh my gosh, why isn't this gone to Operation First Response? She made sure it came out. And, that was when we needed that money. We would have needed it and used it, when 6 months prior to that, if we had received it. But this was the point in time that we really needed that money to come through. And the UPS man comes at 9:00 in the morning, and it's just, the whole thing was
could have been scripted any more oddly.
Right, yes.
to
I
the
know,
way it ended up.
I know.
It ended up awesome, though.
Things happen for reasons.
Yeah, it did. So it's stuff like that if you can put a smile on their face or hug a mom, we hug a spouse, just let them know that we're there and we understand, and it's really important.
Let's go. Let's talk about. We're talking about the money side
Yes,
of it.
I want to talk about donations too, because that's really important.
This is unique too for her organization too.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the many ways that people can donate to fuel the things that you do, because it's clear that you take care of those funds, that you do as much as you can with them, you spread them as far as you can. And most organizations that we encounter, they simply have one thing. You can donate literally money, cash, here you go. But when we go on your website, you've got, at operationfirstresponse.org/donate, you've got, certainly you'll take money, of course, but people can donate vehicles, boats, stocks, securities. Help us understand the plethora of ways. Tom's favorite word is plethora, by the way.
It comes in threes. You got to say it one more time.
The plethora of ways.
I know it.
That you're taking donations and how that came about. And if you have a preference, do you just take that and then translate that to cash so that you can help spread that around to the families that you find and that you encounter that have the needs?
Well, if it comes in like stocks, which we have a gentleman that gives us stocks every year, then yes, we're going to sell that when the price is right and bring that money and put it towards the families and the issues that they have or the program that happens to need it. But like for volunteering for us is, or donating to us, it's all the same. Like volunteering for us is a part, like they can go in their communities. Because I'll tell you, the girls and I don't have time to run out and, beg for funding. So thank God there's all these people that across the nation that have heard about us or received help from us. They go out and help to fundraise and raise awareness of Operation First Response. So that's really important to us. We keep the backpack program for churches and schools and different groups of people that want hands-on something to do. A lot of people would prefer that, and I understand that. And thank goodness, because that means that we don't have to pay. The backpack program has been, part of our program since the very beginning, and we've hardly spent a penny on it. It's all been from people that they get together with their kids and at a church or companies that have, a special day with all their employees, and they pack all these up for us and they give them to us, and then we're able to send them out. But oh my gosh, I don't know. It's just really amazing how people come forward, and they'll oftentimes get a hold of us and say they have something to donate, say it's furniture, something like that. And we'll try to see if there's somebody within our system that's where they're from to be able to match that up. But I'd say that funding is our biggest challenge, and I believe it's probably every organization's challenge. But somehow, some way, honestly, I don't know. I can't really give you an answer as to how we've been able to stay afloat this long, how we made it through COVID.
Good point.
We just did. And we're so grateful.
I think you're doing good work, and there's just something about that karma that brings it back around, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And I think, Peggy, the number of 14 million comes to mind that over the last couple of decades, right, that you've raised that much money. So you are doing something right because it finds you, and you're rewarded for that too. And speaking of events that you have, because I've seen some events, and I'm going to get a little stalky on this one. Okay, is that okay? So,
I got nothing.
Golfing for Wounded Heroes, right? Holes for Heaven's Heroes. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of things on here I have to ask you. Whiskey Tampa Foxtrot event, right? There's a cornhole and crawfish boil. But whenever I hear crawfish boil, I think I have to do like that Georgia thing where you say bold, like bold. Oh, that's peanuts. That's peanuts. Okay. Thanks for getting me grounded.
And they look like slugs,
and
but they're good.
And a Hy-Vee Indy. So Hy-Vee's in our backyard here in Kansas City, right? The Indy car race weekend, Culpeper Rodeo, which is probably in Virginia. But the one that's really got me going is Three Doors Down, right? And the Better Life Foundation. So we had Gary Sinise Foundation on, right? And there was Lieutenant Dan Band. I was like, give me tickets to Lieutenant Dan Band. So next time, Peggy, if you have a musical artist like Three Doors Down or Rolling Stones or something like that I'll be your first one on the text, right? With tickets for the event.
Absolutely.
Okay. You should buy your tickets so you donate to
That's
the cause.
True.
Yes.
And then I'll throw in stocks. I'll throw in a car. I'll throw in a boat. Yep.
There you have it. I will definitely let you know the next time that happens.
Wait, this is forever memorialized. And when you share this with all your folks on social media and all your centers of influence, yes, there is evidence. We'll come back to Peggy and say, where are the tickets?
That's right.
But it seems like you've got recurring events that take place, right?
Yes, we do. Like Hy-Vee has been absolutely amazing to us. They have a roundup the week of Veterans Day, and there are 4 organizations that they support from the funds. They have 200 and maybe 80 some stores, and so they just have a roundup at their registers. And it's phenomenal, the amount of money that comes in from that. And then Hy-Vee matches it by 100,000, and then they split it between the organizations. That has been beyond a blessing because it's a huge amount. It's something that we can count on. And it's always nice to have something that you can count on. But like the other things, a lot of the other things that you mentioned are just people reaching out and saying, hey, we want to have this event and we want you to get the proceeds, or we want to have a golf tournament and we want you to get the proceeds from it. And we're just never going to say no.
So sometimes you'll just get events that people say rally around, and then they do the logistics of it and they put it out there, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Whew. Pretty cool.
Are you thinking about putting on an event, Tom?
I am. But I go to Hy-Vee a lot, right?
It's not an event.
Girl Scout cookies are,
Tom
though.
goes to Hy-Vee in search of Girl Scout cookies.
That's right. Or every retailer.
A 3-part series. Yes. No. Yes, not an event. So I just want to make sure that we give you an opportunity as we kind of wind down the podcast. If there's anything that Tom in particular has not thought to ask you.
I do have one more after you finish. Yeah,
Okay.
but go ahead.
Okay, well, go ahead.
So assistance request form, right? And we could talk a little bit about volunteers too, but so when people do go to your website, we'll say it again, right? operationfirstresponse.org. There is an actual form that gets completed, right? When they have, and is there a vetting process, or is there something you do to say, yes, this is what we're going to do to support this individual's request? What do you do?
Well, I mean, we expect that they can show us, some kind of something, if it's an issue that started their financial issues because there was a car accident and their car got totaled or something like that. We do expect to have documentation on that kind of thing. And also, we do expect them to have somebody like a social worker, a caseworker, that knows the situation and they can talk to us, and they don't have to give us a bunch of personal stuff. They just need to tell us that this family is actually in need. Because sadly, you've got situations where, people just use systems. So we do have to verify every case and make sure that, yes, indeed. And we also want to make sure what we might be able to do at the time for them. Is it really going to help them? Or is it just a Band-Aid? And in that case, then we would try to find somebody that could really make a difference, because what we might have been able to do for this family won't really help them, but it will help the next family immensely. It's a difficult decision, especially when you're counting pennies. I know, we just kind of get through it and make some hard decisions and do our thing.
And volunteer-wise, so people can go to the site too if they want to raise their hand, right, and volunteer in some capacity. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Unfortunately, they can't come into our office and volunteer because of, all the personal information that we have. And we can't have that done remotely. It needs to be done all here. But they can volunteer by, having an event, talking about us, bringing awareness to us, telling a veteran that they might meet that needs help about us. So I wish there was more that here in the office that we could have them do, but there is not that kind of work that they're able to volunteer to do.
Plus, they'd be in your basement. So,
plus they'd be in my basement. Exactly.
Kind of weird.
You seem
like a trusting person, but that would still be kind of weird.
She'll put a, is it 17 steps or 13 steps?
13 steps.
She's 13, adding a 14th one just to so they miss it. Yeah.
In case they're trapdoor, in case they're weird and not really volunteers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. So now I'll ask you, other than adding a 14th step, are there any things that we haven't talked about your organization that you think our audience should hear about today? I just want to make sure we haven't missed something.
I don't think we've missed anything. I think we've pretty much covered everything, that's for sure. But I guess I just want to say to everybody that, let's show them that they're the best of us, and let's be there for them, and let's come together as a team, to make sure that this happens, and that no soldier or service member or first responder ever walks away thinking that nobody cares about them,
Well, you're a 4-star and Charity Navigator, high marks across the country for that, across the globe for that. And then another quote I had about you was, there's giving and there's caring, and Operation First Response does them both. I heard that. Again, see, there is some method to the madness of stalking. Sometimes you get tear jerky when you pull up these comments made about the
stalking for the good.
I know.
That
one
is
out of 100 is not
the
bad.
weird. There's good stalking, and then there's
that's beautiful. Oh, I mean, to us, that's what more could you ask for than a life filled with giving, caring, loving.
Peggy has lived the dash very well. So is it time
Yes, if Peggy will be so kind as to hang with us for a second, we would like to play Military Minute.
You don't like the last military
The
minute
last question I think was an epic fail. But we're gonna play along
But I've
anyway.
had more successes than failure, right?
Yes. So I think this is the only time it's been a weird question. But anyway, our last Military Minute, this is a trivia game, Peggy. We won't put you on the spot unless you would like to be put on
No,
the
she's
spot.
going to answer it. You
Last
watch.
Military Minute was
Lord.
a question about
Let's see.
baking. Are you a baker, Peggy?
Well, actually, that's my last name.
Well, not by like,
That's-
not by like surname, but like, are you a baker in the kitchen?
You know, Jodi's
Well,
normally pretty sharp, right? She fell right
I
into
think you
that.
did just have afternoon coffee.
I know you're not a baker, are you? No, it's just my last name.
I was just
See?
seeing if Peggy was paying attention.
But it's
There
a
you
little like
go.
baking
That's
cookie
right.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
Before 20 years ago, I was a baker.
Oh, she might know this.
Yeah, I did everything. But when this started, this was a new season for me, and it literally takes all of my time and effort. So we do eat out a little bit more than
Yes,
we used to.
DoorDash is my friend.
Pizza Man is called a couple of times a week. No, but anyway, so give us the question. We'll see what we can do.
Well, and so it's kind of a weird question. Tom came up with
I know
this
I
one.
didn't put the year in it. So
Who
just give
was
me a
the
little bit of
second
grief.
most famous woman in America, followed by First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt? And this person that he's trying to get you to guess had something to do with baking. That's what I'm going to add that to the question.
So I think you
And
got
it was
this.
a long time ago.
I know. Baking around
Oh
the
my
time
God.
of Eleanor Roosevelt. Who was famous there as a woman?
Darn. Why can I only think of Aunt Jemima?
Ooh, close though, but
in the
Also
syrup.
on a box in the same aisle.
yes, it rhymes with
okay.
Letty
No, it doesn't.
Schmacher. Right, I'm close, right?
Okay, we're going to put Peggy
Okay.
out of her poor misery because she's thinking, what did I get
know.
into?
She didn't.
So if you were listening and you guessed Betty Crocker because it rhymes with Letty
Oh my
Schmacher,
God.
we should
Did
have
I
given you
not
that
have done
hint.
that?
No, that-
If you guessed that, you are a grade 10 genius, and you will watch for your name to be posted to know if you won $50.
or nobody
for-
even submitted one this time, right?
Chances are high we have no winner chicken dinner.
This is a better question.
Yes, $50 for yourself, $50 for a charity of your choice. This week's Military Minute, better formed question. Good job, Tom.
Tell
don't
Peggy that
answer,
you can't
Peggy.
answer it.
So
Yeah.
don't answer. You probably will know this
Okay.
one. Which country music artist recorded the song Some Gave All, and what year was it released? So it's kind of a twofer. You got to know both parts. If you know the answer when you see this podcast drop, make sure you comment the artist and the year it was released. Oh, wow. That's a meaningful year in my life.
I know. All gave some and some gave all, right?
Yes, I thought you were giving the answer. I had to look down at my paper. No, we want the artist and the year.
It rhymes with.
If you get the answer right, you also will be eligible to potentially receive $50 for you and $50 for a charity of your choice, such as Operation First Response.
If you enjoyed today's episode as much as Peggy Baker did, go out to afbank.com and subscribe to the show. Also, make sure to rate us or leave us a comment on your favorite podcast platform, such as Apple Podcast or Spotify. And Peggy, we are on YouTube. So if you want to go take a gander at those other 49 episodes and really make it a scintillating part of your day, you should check them
That's
out.
great. I will.
Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This is the only way we can get our story out there, and it's a huge blessing to us. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
And
All right.
you as well.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Copyright Armed Forces Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. All non-Armed Forces Bank owned apps, websites, company names, and product names are trademarks or registered trademarks of their respective owners. Their mention does not imply any affiliation with or endorsement by Armed Forces Bank of them or their products and services. They are merely used as examples of the many available apps, companies, and websites that offer similar services. Before using any app or website, you should carefully review the terms of use, data collection, and privacy policy. Apps may have an initial cost or in-application purchase features. This information is general in nature and is not intended to be legal, tax, or financial advice. Although Armed Forces Bank believes this information to be accurate, it cannot ensure that it could change. Statements or opinions of individuals referenced herein are their own, not Armed Forces Bank. Consult an appropriate professional concerning your specific situation and respective governing bodies for applicable laws, such as irs.gov for current tax law. Armed Forces Bank, the Armed Forces Bank logo, and the Militarily Speaking logo are registered trademarks of Armed Forces Bank.